I'd like to pose a question to all of you. Now, you don't have to answer it now, but I would like you to think about this one. I want you to dwell on it. What do you believe is the hardest problem for you to handle in your own Christian life? Now, your answer might be a whole lot different than mine. I'll tell you, for me, the hardest problem that I have to handle as a Christian is what to do when God does not do what I want him to do. When God gets out of line and doesn't act the way that I think he should. We have an occasion like that in today's story of the raising of Lazarus from the dead. Jesus sees Lazarus' impending death as a signal from his Father that something tremendous is going to happen in connection with all this. And so he gives us this really remarkable message: this illness will not end in death. And then we get this real shocker when we hear St. John tell us Jesus loved Martha and her sister and Lazarus. So when he heard that Lazarus was ill, he stayed 2 days longer in the place where he was. What? That is incredible to me. That's the part of the story that is so hard for me to handle. Martha loved Jesus. Mary loved Jesus. Lazarus loved Jesus. And Jesus loves them all back. But when Jesus hears that Lazarus is sick, what does he do? He waits. That is a tough thing to believe, that Jesus deliberately waited. Because we're so used to critical illnesses being a signal for immediate action that it seems amazing that Jesus, hearing that his really good friend was ill, he stays right where he is for 2 days. Martha and Mary's hearts were breaking. This was their dearly loved brother. And Jesus' presence would have been a tremendous comfort for them. But knowing that they needed him to comfort them, knowing that they longed to have him there, he deliberately remains 2 days longer at the place where he was. Why did he do that? That's the question I'm asking. Why? When you have gone to God for help, which you feel you desperately need, and nothing happens, when your heart is breaking over something, and you need God to intervene, but the heavens are silent, it is so tough, I know. It is so tough to understand, so tough to accept, so tough to get any kind of a grip on it. But my friends, I tell you this. This passage is telling us that the delay in his answer is not a sign of God's indifference or of his failure to hear. It is really a sign of his love. Jesus deliberately delayed going to Mary and Martha because he loved them. And he knew that by doing this, he would strengthen their faith as they will learn the ultimate outcome which God has planned to work through Jesus. But I know that this is a hard lesson to accept. I struggled over this myself many, many times. But you know, it works. Something we expect and long for doesn't occur, and then, bingo! Sometime after we think that everything is lost, that there is no hope, God does something remarkable, and it totally reverses our view. I want to tell you, I have been there myself so many times, especially these days, when I have cried out to God for help, and I've said, God, Things are so bad they can't get any worse. Please, Lord, please do something. Help us. And no answer comes. It is so hard. It is hard to believe. It's hard to wait. But I tell you, I am gradually learning that this is never the end of the story. I'm gradually learning that God says so clearly through the prophet Isaiah, my thoughts are not your thoughts. My ways are not your ways. That, my friends, is what is so difficult. Because God is beyond our comprehension. God is not a mortal who should act the way we act. There are dimensions to problems which he sees that we can not remotely imagine. There are possibilities and opportunities in every situation that we cannot even conceive of. So we have to wait and quietly trust, knowing that God is working something out. How many times have you said to yourself, I know that God's worked well in the past, and I know that he's going to be working again in the future. But today, I guess this is not a day for miracles to happen. Folks, that is Martha's faith. In the future, at the resurrection on the last day, yes, the program of God is indeed certain. But for today, well, that's a different matter. That's exactly the same thing that can be said of Mary, who greets Jesus with precisely the same words that Martha used. Lord, if you had been here, my brother wouldn't have died. So neither Martha, nor Mary, nor any of those Jews who accompanied them, not even his own disciples, expect what's going to happen next. That is so crazy that they can't even hope for it. And how often are we in that same position with regard to the Lord's work in our own lives? In our brokenness, in our experiences of grief, in our despair, we weep. Just as Mary wept. We weep and we expect nothing but heartache for today and for as long as we live. Well, I have to remind you that Jesus wept also. And he wept not because he loves Lazarus, not because Lazarus died, but Jesus weeps because they weep. He weeps because he is sharing in their heartache. He is sharing in their pain. So what does this miracle say to us today? We have his word. He is with us. He knows how to handle the situation that we are in. He knows how to lead you through it. He can do it. In fact, he can even raise the dead. He can do anything. So I want you to focus your faith on that thought. Not the solution to the problem or to the eventual working it out, but to trust in him, despite the delay. Turn to him knowing that he is able, knowing that whatever may strike, with him, the illness never ends in death, but rather it may well be the pathway to a brand new life.